Welcome to Economics 232. This is a Chapter 9 video quiz. This is Dr. Yohe, Gadsden State. Today we're going to do a short video quiz on monopoly. Now the first thing we're talking about is what is a monopoly. A monopoly is a market structure in which there is only a single seller. This differs from Chapters 7 and 8 where we dealt with perfect competition and imperfect competition models where you had multiple sellers. Here we just have one single seller. They sell a unique product that is something that cannot be duplicated, oftentimes because it's rare or because of legal restrictions and or there's just something about the product that other people can't duplicate, such as a patent. There might be a patent on it also. Okay, and there's impossible entry and exit into the industry. No firm can enter a monopolistic market. Now, the most common monopolies are local monopolies. Perfect example, the water district, the gas company, the electric company. Also, the state is a monopoly. Government is a institution that claims a monopolistic right to the use of force. Only the government can use force against you, no one else. The government is a monopoly. Okay. A unique product, there are no close substitutes for the monopolist product. Okay, there's nothing close to it that you can substitute for it. Okay. Reasons you can have impossible entries. Impossible entries is this could be the owner, a single owner of a vital resource. There's never really been one of those. The closest would be that I've ever heard of is Alcoa Aluminum Company, and they control something like 80% of the bauxite. Okay. Legal barriers, patents are a big one. Also, the government can issue create a law that says no one else can compete with the monopolist. AT&T was a perfect example of that until that broke down in the 80s. AT&T had a monopoly on local and long-distance phone service. Okay, no one else could compete against them legally. And then you might have economies of scale. An economy of scale is where the production of some good, as you increase its output, the costs continually go down. So in some instances, a large producer might be able to produce all of or most of the output in a market at a lower cost, and no one else can enter because to produce less output means they would produce at a higher long-run average cost. And we saw that in Chapter 7, I believe. Okay. There are what your book calls natural monopolies. This is something they invented after the natural monopolies came about. And this is an industry in which the long-run average cost of production declines throughout the entire market. Okay. So here a single firm will produce output at a lower per unit cost than two or more firms in the industry. Okay. A monopolist, this is something we've talked about before, but a monopolist is a price maker. This doesn't mean he can make up any price he wants. All it means is the firm faces a downward sloping demand curve. That's it. Okay, he can't make his price. His price is determined on the market by supply and demand. But because no one else can enter the market demand curve, which we saw in Chapter 8, where the market demand curve was horizontal because of easy entry and exit into the industry. That was for the firm, but the market had a downward sloping curve. Here, there's no difference between the market demand, the downward sloping curve for demand, and demand for the monopolist. Okay. Here, the demand and the marginal revenue curves for a monopolist are different. Okay, and this is for the firm. Okay, because of the downward sloping demand curve, marginal revenue curve also is downward sloping, but it is steeper than the demand curve and lies below it. We're we're going to be doing something a little bit different here. This is the MindTap assignment for Chapter 9, the Aplia assignment. And here we're going to go through this. Some people learn by listening, some people learn by doing. So here we're going to kind of combine them. So here, a monopoly, unlike a perfectly competitive firm, has some market power. Thus, it can raise its price within limits without quantity demanded falling to zero. The main way monopolies retain their market power is through barriers to entry, which prevent other companies from entering monopolized markets and competing for customers. So here we've got consider the market for public water. In this industry, low average total costs are obtained only through large-scale production. In other words, the initial cost of setting up all the necessary pipes makes it risky and most likely unprofitable for a competitor to enter the market. Okay. So here, what type of scenario exists that creates this monopoly? And the answer would be economies of scale. Once you build the pipes and service all of the homes in the area, you can do that at a low cost. Duplication of the pipes, some people say, might result in higher cost, and the competitors might not be profitable. Okay. So here, companies that provide public utilities, such as public water, are oftentimes called natural monopolies, and that's because economies of scale. An average total cost decreases as more goods are produced or supplied. This serves as an entry barrier, protecting the monopolists from competition and new entrants. Now, as I said before, that natural monopoly theory was actually invented or came up with after there were already monopolies for public water and utilities and things like that. We don't know if that's the case. In fact, it's probably not, because once you have a monopoly and there's no competition, the monopolist has very little incentive to keep his costs down. If we had a free market and say the production of water services, firms would discover new ways to keep the cost of water low and possibly discover new ways to deliver water to the homes, and that might allow us to have multiple competitors producing water at a lower long-run average total cost than a long-run monopolist would, because they have no incentive to keep their costs down. Now here, marginal analysis and profit maximization. All profit maximizing firms produce output up to the point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Okay? Marginal revenue is the change in total revenue divided by the change in output. So if we increase output, that's going to change revenue. So we take the difference between, say, the revenue at 2 units of production and 1. So we take 64 minus 36 here. If the firm produces 2 haircuts a week, they make $64 in revenue. If they only produce 1 haircut per week, it's $36 in revenue. So the difference between the revenue at 2 units of output and the revenue at 1 unit of output, that is the marginal revenue. By cutting a second head of hair per week, this haircutting place makes an extra $28 in revenue. If we go from 2 to 3, right? We had $32 in revenue, right here, from 2 to 3. We had $64 in revenue when we produced 2 haircuts. That went up to $84 when we produced 3 haircuts. Revenue is price times quantity. Because of the downward sloping demand curve for a monopolist, as you increase the quantity of haircuts, the price we can charge for those haircuts and sell them decreases. So 3 times 28 is $84 minus the $64 that was we had in total revenue when we only cut 2 heads of hair. You can see that by increasing from 2 to 3 units of output, our marginal revenue, $20, our revenue goes up by that $20. Okay. Now, if you look here, we only use 1 unit increases in output, and we label marginal revenue kind of in between here, and that's because of averaging and calculus, and we don't need to worry about why, but we put it in between 2 and 3 here. You can see right there, it's kind of on that, right where that gray line would be. Okay. Now the next thing here, if we go from 3 units of output to 4, we need to figure out what total revenue is. To figure out total revenue, we take 4 haircuts. Now we're going from 3 to 4 haircuts. Get my calculator out. So we're going to go from 3 to 4. We have 4 haircuts times a new price of $24. In order to get that 4th haircut sold, we have to decrease the price that we charge for all haircuts. So 4 times $4 haircuts times $24 a haircut is now $96 per haircut. Over here, we want to figure out the marginal revenue. How much does revenue change when we go from 3 to 4 haircuts? We take the $96 in revenue we'd earn if we cut 4 heads of hair, minus the $84 in revenue we would make if we only cut 3. That comes out to $12. We'll put $12 there. So that's how you figure out total revenue and marginal revenue. Now, the next thing we have here is we have total cost. This is dollars per week. Okay, so here's total cost. If we produce 0 haircuts, we have 0 total cost. Produce 1 haircut, 4, 2, 8, 3, 16, 4, 24, 5, 32. So there's total cost. Marginal cost is equal to the change in total cost divided by the change in output. We always use 1 unit of output changes, so 1 is always on the bottom. And here, if we go from 0 to 1 haircut, our total costs go from 0 to $4. The difference between $4 and 0 is 4. So the marginal cost of the first haircut is $4. If we go to 2 haircuts, from 1 to 2 haircuts, total revenue at total cost at 2 haircuts is $8 minus the $4 in total cost we had at 1. The change in total cost is 4. Here you can see it's 8. If you go from 16 to 24, that is also $8. 24 minus 16 is $8. That's the marginal cost of the 4th haircut. And then we went from 24 to 32. The marginal cost, what's being added to our total cost when we cut that additional head of hair, is $8. Now, profit, here, we've got total revenue minus total cost. So total revenue here is $32. If we cut 2 heads of hair, $64 in revenue minus $8 in cost, total profit goes up to $56. Total revenue at 3 haircuts is $84 minus $16 in total cost to cut those 3 heads of hair. It goes up to $68. The 4th, which we need to calculate, we have $96 in total revenue minus $24 in total cost. That is going to come out to be $72. And you can see here that profit is maximized when we cut 4 heads of hair. So this monopolist would produce 4 units of haircuts per week at a price of $24. On the following graph, use the blue points to plot Hannah's total revenue curve, the orange points to plot total cost, and use the purple points to plot her profit curve. Be sure to graph from left to right, starting with 0 haircuts. So, Oh, this is Hannah's information up here. We're just going to graph this information. So if we do one haircut, she has $36 in revenue. Haircuts are always on the x-axis. Revenue is on the y. If she cuts 2 heads of hair, total revenue is $64. 3 heads of hair, $84. 4 heads of hair, $96. 5 heads of hair, $100. That is our total revenue curve. Total cost, we go over here, total cost per week. If she cuts 1 head of hair, it costs her $4. So we're going to have to go down here. Put that at 4. If she cuts a second head of hair, 8. A third head of hair, 16. The 4th head of hair, 24. And the 5th head of hair, 32. Her profit is the difference between these two. 36 minus 4, $28 in total profit. We can just graph it off of here. It's just 32, my fault. Total profit if she cuts 2 heads of hair is 56. She cuts 3 heads of hair at 68. 4 heads of hair at 72. And 5 heads of hair, we go back to 68. That's her total profit curve. Okay. Now here we're going to graph marginal revenue and marginal cost. Going back up here, you can see that marginal revenue is $36 for the first haircut, $28 for the second, $20 for the third. So we're going to graph that. The first haircut was 36, I believe. Yep. The second was 28, then 20. This is a downward sloping curve here. As we increase the number of haircuts, the price we get per haircut goes down, and that decreases marginal revenue. Where are marginal revenue here? 20 for the 4th haircut it's 12, and then for the 5th one it's 4. 12, and the 5th one it's 4. There's our marginal revenue curve, total cost. So we go up here, marginal cost, my fault. 44888. So I'm just going to graph those real quick. The first haircut, the marginal cost was $4. We added another $4 when we cut the second head of hair. That's $4. I believe it was 888 after that, yes. The third haircut, total cost went up by an additional $8 to cut that third head of hair. The 4th head of hair was $8. And then for the 5th, it was another $8. Where the marginal revenue curve crosses marginal cost, that is the profit maximizing output. So it's somewhere in here between 4 and 5 haircuts, right there. It looks like about 4.5. That would be the optimal number of haircuts per week. And in that case, profit would be maximized because marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So she maximizes her profit by serving 4 clients and charging, we'll get the price up here, $24 per haircut. If Hannah gave more haircuts, her marginal revenue would be less than the marginal cost. So to cut a 5th head of hair, she'd have to spend $8, but only gain $4, I believe, in revenue. Her total profit would go down if she moved from 4 to 5 haircuts. And we'll grade it now. And what did we miss here? Looks right to me. Oh, We forget this answer here. Both of those were right. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at profit maximization and loss here. This right here is the demand curve for a monopolist. And this is its marginal revenue curve. You can see that as demand decreases, so does marginal revenue. But marginal revenue is always less than demand. And that's because to produce another unit of output, we also have to cut our price to sell it. So the marginal revenue always decreases and is less than demand, or the price that is charged for the good at each quantity, except at zero. This is our marginal cost curve here, okay? And this is average total cost. Okay? Now, the monopolist outcome is going to be here. We are going to produce output. I'm sorry, my fault. Right over here. Whoops. I'm going to move all that over here. Okay, where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. That is the profit maximizing output. So this firm will produce 1,000 cans of beer. Oh, they want profit and loss. Whoops. This is not a profit here, and I'll show you why. It's going to be a loss. And that is because if we trace, let's get over here. This determines how much output we're going to produce. We're going to produce 1 can of beer. We're going to charge a price of $2 per beer. But, sorry, we've got a problem. If we charge $2 for each 1,000 cans of beer, or $2 per can, and produce 1,000 cans of beer, that creates a problem. As we go up here, this is the price we charge, $2, but we pay $3 for every can of beer we produce. So the loss that this firm suffers would be equal to the difference between the average total cost at 1,000 cans of beer here and the price we charge for 1,000 cans of beer. So this distance here, which is $1, times the 1,000 cans of beer we produce, this firm would lose $1,000 and not make a profit. Suppose that BYOB charges $2 per can. Your friend Shen says that since BYOB is a monopoly with market power, it should charge a higher price of $2.25 per can, because this will increase their profit. But again, there's a problem. If they were to charge $2.25 per can, the price would go up, but so would average total cost. At a price of $2, 1,000 cans will be bought and sold on the market, and the firm will have $2,000 in revenue. Total cost, $3 times 1,000 cans. This firm would lose $1,000. If we increase the price to $2.25, right there, fewer cans of beer would be sold. In fact, it would be 0.75 thousand. So $2.25 times 750 cans of beer. That's 3/4 of 1,000. Their total revenue, excuse me, there's the 715 cans. Their total revenue would only be $1,060. $1,687.50. Oops. 1687.5. Now, at that price, our average total cost is $3.50. So if we clear this out and take $3.50, which is the average total cost per can of beer, times 750 cans of beer, our total costs are 2,000. Oops, hold on. 750. Are we at 3/4 here? Let's make sure. Three-quarters. That looks like $3.75 per can. There's the problem. Going back here, $3.75 times 750 cans. Our total costs are $2,817. $2,812.50. Subtract this from that, and you'll see here that this firm is going to lose more money. So I'm taking the we're going to take the $1,687.50. That's price times quantity. That's the amount of revenue the firm brings in. If they charge $2.25 a beer, they'll sell 750 beers. $2.25 times 750 is $1,687.50. If they charge this price and sell this many cans of beer, their average total cost will be $3.75. Yeah, about $3.75. $3.75 times 750 cans of beer is going to come out to be $2,812.50. This firm is actually going to lose. It was $1,125. So you can see here, if the firm increases its price, it's going to reduce the quantity of beer sold, and this firm is going to suffer a bigger loss than if they produce where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So again, this demonstrates why these firms are price makers and why that doesn't really mean what it sounds like. The market, through supply and demand, marginal revenue, marginal cost, determine how much output the firm will produce and the price that the firm can charge. Charging more, they won't sell all that beer. They'll sell fewer units of beer. Given the owed information, Shane is not correct. All right. Now, to choose how much output the firm will produce, we look where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. There's demand. We know marginal revenue is always underneath it, and it is that steeper downward sloping line. We go to where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, that point right there, and that determines output. This firm will produce, it's like 1 1/4 units of output. Now, if we trace that quantity up to, our demand curve, the difference between, that tells the price that will be charged, and in this case, that price looks like $1.75. Now, the bottom of this rectangle, we only want the difference between price and average total quantity when we figure out profit. So we bring this up to the average total cost curve. And you can see right here, the area of this triangle here, or it's rectangle, excuse me, is the profit that this monopolist will earn. The difference between $1.75 and $1.50 is 25 cents. So every can of beer this firm produces, they'll make a 25 cent profit. They produce 1.25 thousand cases of beer. So 1.25 times 1,000. That's the amount of beer they're going to produce. And they earn 25 cents in profit. That's the difference between price and the average total cost per beer. 0.25, there we go. This firm will earn a profit of $312.50. There's something wrong with my graphing. It's probably my eyes. Oh, I didn't put the monopoly outcome here. We must have missed on our calculation here. Let's see. 1687.5 minus $2,812.50. I don't know why it's marking that one wrong. There's something wrong with their key. That's the right answer. Oh, I forgot the negative sign. That was our problem here. We forgot the negative sign. That's why I got it wrong. Marked wrong. I guess my monopoly outcome should have been lower. All right, that's going to be it for chapter 9. I can't make these videos much longer or they won't upload. Thank you very much. Have a great day. There will be a short quiz.